us during this board meeting, give us discernment and wisdom to make the choices that we need to make to move our district forward. Please take care of all the teachers that are returning tomorrow. Please watch over our staff in everything that we do, and please give your healing power to those among us that need it. All in this we pray in your name this evening. Amen. Amen. Please address the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Welcome, everybody. I will accept a motion to adopt our agenda for this evening.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll now move right on into our stuff, and I don't have my computer on, so I'm gonna go over here, ask Mr. Lott to come on up. Running slow.
I got
Good evening.
you. Hello.
Hello.
We're just coming back to review the policies that were introduced last time. I do want to make a correction. Normally, we would introduce them, review them, and then approve them, but because of the difference in the meetings, actually, we have to, a required advertisement time, so it'll be 3 meetings from now.
August 26th.
The 26th.
Okay.
So we'll come back and review these again next time, and then the following time we'll ask for approval. There's been no public comment or any discussion about what we proposed. So
Do you need approval from us to continue advertising, or just formality of moving
So
on?
this
We're
is just
just-
review.
just review and try to answer any questions you may have.
Okay.
Good?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Lott.
Mr. McClellan.
Good evening.
Good
How are y'all
evening.
Hello, sir.
So we've got some changes to the pupil progression plan here, and what we've done is we've reached out to administrators, district staff, if they felt like there needed to be some changes or updates to our pupil progression plan. The new language proposed is in red, and I'll just kind of go through this, and if you have questions, please just stop me. There's a change there, page 7, where it's talking about crossed out local newspaper, and now it's to be annually published on the website. On page 15, we struck out academics and replaced that with reading and math. On page 21, you can't really see the strike through there, but it was a 59 with a minus sign, and we removed that and replaced it with a 59 because that makes it a little more smoother with Skyward. So that's why that change was there. On page 28, we added reading there to language arts, but we struck out 2 hours daily because it already says minimum of 120 minutes, so it's just repetitive language there. On page 31, we struck out final and we changed that to quarterly, so if the student's quarterly grading period is below 50, it will be changed to a 50 by the quarter.
Okay.
So we're being a little more strategic on that. On page 32, there were some standards there that instead of 16 out of 20, we went to 17 out of 21. And what we did, we split that standard because Ms. Allen felt like alliteration and initial sounds should have been split into 2 standards. Currently they're into 1, so that's where you get the 17 out of 21. And then we did the same with math there, went to 14 out of 17. There was a change there where it says second and we spelled out second. Page 40, access for ELLs 2.0 is no longer used by the state. That is now addressed as WIDA access. And then on page 44, we added some additional language. It was talking about middle school promotion. The language that was struck was that said that the principal may promote with a successfully completed remediation plan, but it was very vague and general, so didn't know what the plan was. So the administrators asked and helped create this, could we come up with a plan that is more specific that we can follow? So you can see there, that is the language that the administrators came up with. We met with them all through the summer to make sure that this is what they were looking for and make sure that this fits what we're doing there. And that continues there on page 45. On page 46, we added required for level 1, which is state law. Level 1 students are required to have remediation, and then level 2, we added recommended. And that is the reasoning of some of our schools. It's just not possible with the amount of staff to have all level 2s in intensive reading. We just don't have enough there, but they do get tier 2 interventions. So
Right.
level 2s do get tier 2. There was a change there at the bottom of page 46, where the reading endorsement, certification in reading, or a micro-credential under the supervision of a reading endorsed certified teacher. So that was some state language that changed for us. Page 60, there's some stricken language, covers areas required on the NGSSS, which is no longer in use. Page 65, we changed FSA to state English because there are many other assessments that we use instead of just the FSA there, so that's why that has changed. And then there's the same language there, level 1 required and level 2 recommended. And then that's the same language there on top of page 66 where it's talking about the micro-credential. That was state language that we added. And then the last pages here, 76, 79, 82, and 84 are all the state change language from Access for ELLs 2.0 to WIDA Access. So those were our changes for this year for the pupil progression plan. Do y'all have any questions on that?
I have one, just don't know any better, just don't know. What is a state-approved course in career and education planning to promote to the 8th and 9th grade? What's an example of what that class is?
So,
On 44.
page 44.
Page 44.
We're looking at Zello, things of that nature. You may not be familiar with Zello. Then that's looking at students can research careers and what it takes to have that career, the amount of funding money that they can earn from that career. And we do that also in 6th, 7th, and 8th, but 8th grade is the state statute there that they have to do that in.
Okay. I just didn't know what it was. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we need a motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the progression plan.
Do I have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. McClellan. And I guess it's time for Miss Lake. Come on down.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hello.
Hello, ma'am.
All right, this will be very, very similar to what we did last week. The proposed budget and the tentative budget are one and the same. So this is though the first of the 2 public hearings that we will have on the budget. If we had anyone in the public, they would be able to ask questions at any time, and the same, obviously, for the board. So if you have a question as I move through it, just ask. Our final budget hearing will be on September 11th. So first we'll start with trim, or truth and millage. You'll see that our RLE is 3.084. The total tentative budget rate we'll be asking for approval for tonight is 5.332, which includes 1.5 for capital outlay and 0.748 for discretionary operating. Discretionary operating and state law RLE are all set by the state, and then capital outlay, the max is 1.5. So what is RLE? RLE is required local effort. This is the funding that we have to contribute from a local effort for state funding to provide this year around 30.8 million. And that's through the FEFP program. So our RLE is lower when compared to last year, but it's higher than what we call the rollback rate. So we had to advertise for a tax increase. Rollback rate is the rate that would generate the same amount of property tax revenues as we approved last year. When tax bases increase, the rollback rate is less than the prior year rate. So that's why we advertise for a tax increase. But that just means tax value has increased. That does not mean that our local tax rate has increased. So this is the first part where we have to adopt the millage. So, next slide. We'll stop here because we do need a motion to approve the tentative millage. As I outlined, 5.322 would be the total millage, and that reflects a increase of 3.17 when compared to current year's total proposed rate.
Okay, I'll be looking for a motion to approve the tentative millage as follows and adopt tentative millage resolution 2601. Our required local effort will be 3.0840. Our basic discretionary operating will be 0.7480. Capital outlay at 1.50 for a total millage of 5.3320. This total millage reflects a positive change, 3.17% of the current year's total proposed rate as a percentage change of the rollback rate as found on line 22 of our school's taxable value. Do I have a motion to approve such?
I make a motion to approve the tentative millage.
Do I hear a second? Motion and second. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And I dropped the gun.
So now we'll talk a little bit about the budget, but before we get into that, if you remember the budget workshop that we had, actually tweaked this a little bit because when we did the budget workshop, we didn't quite yet know what our current budget was going to be. Was that going to be the House version, the Senate version? It ended up being really kind of neither, but a little bit of both. So at this point, this budget is challenged with a decline in FTE. Scholarships are increasing, homeschool's increasing, children not choosing or students not choosing the district. So budget, we have a budget deficit. So that's going to impact our reserve funding. We are lucky that we have reserve funding to offset that budget deficit. In the short term, it is not sustainable. We're going to have to focus on utilizing other funds as allowable by law. So increasing maintenance transfers and those things that we can do, increasing indirect costs that we take from food service and other funds. The base student allocation is, there's insufficient growth for operations. It is not keeping pace with inflation. And then health insurance, board share costs continue to rise. And what also should be on there is FRS was also increased again this year. So those costs continue to rise. So funding to public schools has increased minimally, while funding to expand school choice initiatives has increased exponentially. We do not have the ability to do what private institutions do, which is control their revenue. So we can't create a new widget. We can't do something else to drive that revenue. Private schools are also not held to the same accountability standards as public schools, and right now it's about $8,000 per student in the voucher program. And during the 2008 financial crisis, Florida lowered funding to education, and in the years since, Florida has never recovered or returned to previous funding levels. We all know what's going on with inflation, so we'll get to that in a minute too. So this is just a snapshot of the funds lost to scholarships over the years, starting in 2020 when it was just McKay. I'm sorry, 2020 would have been when FES started. Sorry, McKay would have been prior. And all the way up to what we're estimating a loss for this budget cycle, which is 5.2, almost 5.3 million. So private, in the 25-26 education budget that was passed by the state, private school voucher funding increased by about 3%, and there's no cap on these scholarships, meaning the number of students that are eligible for these scholarships. Since 2023, vouchers have grown by almost $1 billion in the education budget. So let's take a quick look at what we're experiencing with change in enrollment. We're looking at May 2020 to May 2025, and we're showing what's happening in district, not including pre-K. We were down 64. Charters, we were down 3. Homeschool, we were up 245. There's some overlap between homeschool and scholarships. It's hard for me to peel that out, but you can see where the students are choosing homeschool or scholarship. So some of the scholarships will not show as a loss for us because they never entered our district, because you can go in
Okay.
kindergarten to a scholarship. This is our health insurance costs. So this is just to show that the board is bearing 87.2% of premiums. Employees are bearing 12.8. Total cost to the board for insurance in this budget is just under 5 million. We have some increased costs in the health insurance as well that are gonna have to be addressed. So this budget does have a permanent transfer from the general fund to offset that, if we need that in February. So here on the next slide is where our base student allocation ended up, $5,372.60. That is $41.62 more than last year, 0.78% increase, while we were looking at closer to 2.4 in inflation. Second calculation, I still do not have the fourth calculation, so what we don't know is how much we lost last year. So we'll get the fourth calculation at some point. We are steadily trying to finish our financials, and it's very difficult since we don't have the fourth calculation, so we hope that is forthcoming. So the second calculation ended up with a total state and local increase of 504,000. So after the BSA was increased, all the things, 504 was the increase, and I'm just looking at district FTE. I pull out scholarships. So if you look at the second calculation that's online at DOE, the growth may look greater, but that's because scholarships are embedded in Levy County, and in all the counties, scholarship is shown there. So you have to kind of know the numbers and peel those out. So of that 504, we are expected to pass along the TSIA of $191,350. Again, we're looking at increased health anywhere between 300 to 500,000. Supplementals, the board was gracious, and early on we increased our supplement budget, and we're looking at about 100,000 there. We added an additional 75,000 to textbook adoption above the budget because we are adopting ELA this year. And that was only what grade levels was that? Matt? What grade levels did we implement this year for ELA? K3?
K3.
So we'll have to implement more next year, but the instructional materials budget is not sufficient for that. And then the increase in FRS, which was around 150,000. So we needed a growth at least $1 million just based on those, and that doesn't include any escalated costs already in the budget. So flexible funds were already reduced by $500,000. And I think if you'll remember last year, we also lost $500,000 to proration in the third calculation. That's not in this budget, but that means we got $500,000 less last year than we should have gotten based on our FTE because the state had to do a proration to balance their budget after all the scholarships were undercounted. And also the TSIA, just as a note, it was $250 million in last year's budget statewide. It's $101 this year. But that $191,350 has to be used for raises. So we'll take a quick look at a snapshot of the revenue sources for the tentative budget. And I compared 24-25 to 25-26, and you can see where some of the deficit is coming from. Specifically in the state sources, you see we're down almost $1 million there. Local sources are up. There's a grant in there. So that's one thing you can't know when I have to put all these together, that there's an actual grant in there. And the grant is earmarked for specific activities, so it can't be for salaries or anything else.
Okay.
And then our interfund transfers were higher last year because we still had the last bit of ARP, and we were able to offset some costs for instructional materials and a bonus. There were 2 rounds of bonuses last year. There was one tied to art, and then there was one tied to just the regular compensation plan that came out of the general fund. But overall, you'll see that revenues are down about almost 2.3 million. And I have removed scholarships from this. So if you look at my budget summary will be greater than the revenue I've listed here and the expenditures, because I have a over $5 million revenue for scholarships and equal for expenditures. They wash each other, but you have to put them in your budget because it's considered part of your allocation. Next are the expenditures. These are by object. So you can see salaries. Our proposed budget is showing a decrease in salaries of a little over $1 million, and that is mostly due to that bonus that we did offered for longevity. I want to say that was a little over $800,000 alone. And you see employee benefits are up, purchase services are up slightly, contracted services cost quite a bit. You see that a lot in mental health and in ESE, but we can't hire anyone. We have a hard time hiring people into those positions because of what we pay, so we end up having to contract out for those. Materials and supplies are down a little bit, but actually they're if you take out the increase we did for textbooks, we're probably really up in materials and supplies in the current year. So that kind of takes us, that transfer line is what we set aside if we have to make a transfer to our health insurance. And so total expenditures are down 1.3 million. So this, again, this is what I just showed you, but just in a little pie graph, to show that 78% of our expenditures go to salaries and benefits, 13% to those purchase services, 3% to materials and supplies, 3% to energy. Other expenses include things like subs, and then 1% to capital outlay. It should be low. It is pretty small in your operating budget because a lot of your capital stuff will come out of your capital funds. But there are just some things you can't purchase out of your capital funds. So this is expenditures by function. So you know how we're spending our money, but what departments, where's it going? So 55% of that is direct instruction. So that is all of your classroom instruction. Basic, ESE, vocational, all of that. 55% of the budget is geared towards those direct instruction expenditures. General support services would include your principals, your board, your superintendent's office. Student instructional services would include like your guidance, any mental health that we have, and SLPs. Instructional services is your PD. Maintenance of plant is your MIS and your maintenance department. I'm sorry, that is just your maintenance department, so I pulled out your MIS and their administrative technology services. So you can kind of see how those expenditures go. And I like to do this because most of our budget should be going towards direct instruction, so you like to see that. This is the debt service budget. We just refunded the bond, which is the bottom one. So that is representative of what we will pay for that bond refunding next year. And the top is COPS, certificates of participation. We've done different things, cafeterias and different small capital expenditures, and that will be paid off. Next year is our last payment for that. So that's good news, but that also will reduce our debt service, and then if we are able to make our final payment for Chiefland Middle High School, we will then be able to start sharing the capital outlay with the charter schools. Currently, we do not. So our capital funds budget, this just shows our fund balance going into the year at 8.7 million, our revenues at 8.6, expenditures 11.1, that payback for Chiefland Middle High School would be in there, and that leaves our fund balance at 6.2. So The change is comparing it to the prior year. So our fund balance started out the year 4% less than last year, which is, we're doing payback, so we do, I'm not alarmed by that. We did expect that to go down. Your revenues were up 16, expenditures up 32. Again, we're paying $2 million or more to Chiefland Middle High School and had to do transfers this year to help with the deficit the year we just came out of. So those expenditures are up. And our fund balance will be 40% less than it was last year. All right, so this is the payback for Chiefland Middle High School. We're in our final year of payback, so it'd be just a little bit over $2 million that we have to pay back by the end of this upcoming school year. Food service budget. It starts out with a fund balance of around 2.6. We have not finalized our fund balances, so you will see when I come back for the final budget that it looks like there's been growth, but a lot of times the growth is just, or change, a lot of the changes in the fund balances. Expected revenues of 5.6, expenditures of 6.4, and that leaves their fund balance of 1.7. Now, food service is different. They're only supposed to hold, I believe, 3 months worth of expenditures in their fund balance. So we are blessed with a really good food service department. They've maintained a healthy fund balance, but every year Department of Ag makes them write a plan on how they're gonna spend it, because they really can't hold that high of a fund balance. So again, I'm not too alarmed with seeing their fund balance decrease because it's prescribed. Federal program budgets, these have not been updated. They will be updated for the final budget. So this is just last year numbers, but with your federal programs, they just match. You'll have, the revenues coming in will match the expenditures. Finally, your internal service or self-insurance. This is the one where I say that we may have to do a permanent transfer to get that fund balance up, because in February they'll take a look at it from January through December of 25, and we have to carry 2.5 times claims. Our claims are up, so that 2.5 times is going to be up, and I'm not sure if we'll have enough in the fund balance at that time, so that's when we would make a decision to a fund balance. It is a separate discussion on if premiums are going to have to go up. So the beginning fund balance is about 2.2. You can see the revenue and expenditures are pretty close, with an ending fund balance of 1.7. This is the budget summary that was in the newspaper with the ads. So I just add that at the end so that you can kind of see everything we talked about is displayed collected on this particular graph. So we've come to the point where we need, if we have any questions or anything to talk about, we can do that now. If not, we will need to approve the tentative budget and adopt the resolution attached to that tentative budget.
Any questions? All right. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the tentative budget and adopt the resolution 2602 and to adopt the tentative budget.
So moved.
Here a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. If there are no questions, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Lake. Now we'll move on into our minutes. Is there a minute? No, public comments. Anybody got anything? No? Okay. Now, our minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read those minutes? I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the prior meeting.
So moved.
And a second? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now move to our consent agenda. Has everyone had a chance to review the consent agenda?
Yes.
And is
Yes.
everyone's questions, everybody, any questions? Anybody have anything?
Nope.
Since it's just this intimate group, anybody have any questions? Everything been asked? All right, I will entertain I do have one question. On the various contracts, are those the same as they are in previous years? Have any of those
Yes.
contracts changed? They're the same as last year?
Yes, and there was duplicate ELL, but Angela removed the one of them.
Okay.
One of those, it was identical.
Okay,
It was just put there twice.
all right.
There are ones we hadn't passed, so.
All right, so at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Have a second? We have a motion and a second. Y'all so busy down there on the end. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move over to our consent agenda on the finance items. Are there any questions on the finance items?
No.
All right, I will entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda finance items.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Madam Superintendent, any comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say, I know it was a lot to look at and a lot to take in that Mrs. Lake has presented. And I hear the sighs and I see some of the worry in your faces. I just want to take a moment to reassure you that that woman sitting right there, there's nothing that I don't think any one of us here at District, we don't run past her. And she is very willing to say no when needed. And that's appreciated. And I think that if it wasn't for her, we could be in a worse position than we are because of what she's done. We are far from the circumstances of some other districts right now. And that's thanks to Mrs. Lake. And I'm the hopeful one, and she's the one that keeps me in check. But I believe that all the hard work and the consistency, yes, do we have to look at some things and be mindful of it? We do, and I believe we will. And I think you know that during the federal freeze that we had, when we had our emergency sit-down budget meeting, it was all day. And every single person in that room, if you could have been here, you would have been very impressed because they were engaged the whole entire day. And every department instantly had their own ideas. Well, I can look at this and bring this back to you. I can look at this. And that's what they've been doing since that day. And they're still doing it even with them saying, we're going to unfreeze the rest of these title funds. But we're still doing it. And that's also based on Mrs. Lake's advisement. Yes, we have to be mindful of everything. So with that, don't worry too much. We'll be mindful. And I do feel we're going to be okay. On another note, I'd like to thank Mr. Lott for sitting in for me last week. Mr. McClellan and I were able to, or last week or the week before, it's gone by, yeah, it's gone by
Hasn't
fast.
been long.
We were able to attend the NEFEC conference. Of course, that was the first time for me. And another thing that the district did, and NEFEC did, they awarded us extra scholarships due to those title freezing and us looking at what we were going to cancel and what we were going to move forward with attending. Every district person stepped back and those scholarships went to every single admin in our district. So you had your principals and your assistant principals that were able to attend, and some of which I even had a conversation with and didn't know, but they had never been able to go before. And it was very meaningful for them. And I think for us, it was great. It was nice to spend the time with them one-on-one. You know, when you're not in their school and they have all these other things on their mind, it was a great relationship building experience with them. And they worked very hard. So thank you, Mr. Lott, for doing that. Thank you, Miss Kristen, for being here and sitting in for Mr. Delaney tonight and driving so far to be with us. Tomorrow, first day back for teachers. Your district staff and your admin, they have worked super hard. I think from this role, you know, sometimes people think in the summertime that things slow down, yes, maybe so for the students and some of the teachers, they get a little bit of a break, but the district staff, they're, the SIP that you'll see next week going on in the professional learning, they have worked nonstop. And it will be incredible for everyone. And Levy County School Foundation has graciously, they're going to give breakfast district-wide next week for those SIP in professional learning, so thank you to them. And I think that's really all I have. I just want to make sure that you know how hard everyone has worked behind the scenes this new year.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Ms. Campbell, you got any comments?
Yes, thank you to all of the county staff administrators who have worked hard to prepare for the beginning of the year. And I am hoping and wishing a good year to all of our administrators at every school, and looking forward to seeing the wonderful things that Levy County is going to accomplish this year. Yesterday I attended a launching initiative at Central Florida College, and it was very good, a very good presentation from Citrus County, the program that they have, and we will continue to be involved with that, and it's going to be good for us. But what I was most impressed was by our own county, because in hearing about everything that they were doing, I realized how much we are doing, and very happy with that, and you know, just our graduation rate is a testament to that, and I know how hard the AVID program works, and everybody involved in that to encourage students toward graduation. But I'm proud of Levy County and what they are doing to move our students along and launch them successfully. And I think our involvement with this will help streamline all of that, and maybe make it a little easier for us. But I was very happy to be there for that, and thank you for the invitation to attend.
Mrs. Baxter?
Well, I too enjoyed the workshop that she's talking about, and I spoke to Tanya Taylor after it was over with, but she's not here this evening, but she does such a phenomenal job for our district. And I wanted her to know that I thought this program they're trying to launch would be a complement to what she's already doing, that it's not to take away from what she's doing. And I too want to thank everybody here at the district for all your hard work, and I know in Chiefland, the administrators and staff are getting busy for this new year to begin, and I think it's going to be a good one. I'm a kind of a financially cautious person, so I appreciate Ms. Lake and all that she does, and she takes time to explain things, and I have full confidence in you, and I know that Mr. Lott and Mr. McClellan and Ms. Wade, I know that they all are part of that as well, and we just thank you for all you do.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. At the bottom of my notes, I forgot to read one thing. You know how we do so many student shout-outs, and they come here and you know, they represent everything. But I received this email, and I wanted to read it, and I hope I didn't tell someone in the room that I was reading this. So surprise to that person. But I received this, and it said, I just wanted to take a moment to recognize Morgan Bennett for the incredible support he's given us as we work to integrate a new program called SmartPass. When we started this process, we truly had no idea what all was involved in implementing a new system. Morgan stepped in without hesitation during what I know is one of the busiest times of the year for him, and was so gracious, patient, and helpful every step of the way. Morgan worked so diligently behind the scenes that people might not always see the full scope of what he does. I feel that Levy County would be lost without him. Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
Thank you.
I don't have a lot to say other than summer sure goes fast, and y'all did a great job, and back at it tomorrow.
Not really, that's it.
It's only been like a week. I don't have anything. So, all that being said, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.